Hello people, g'day, and I hope you're doing great, well, okay, once again in these crazy times. So, to get out of these crazy times and away from social media and the things that could compound annoyance, anger, suffering and misery, let's play guitar. And let's discuss, in this video I want to discuss more than show you on the guitar. So I'm going to hold the guitar because I loved it, feel comfortable with it. Video is called the video is called 3 Stages of Learning Guitar. Okay. It's based around the concept of 100 hours is what it takes. 100 hours of practice is what it takes to become very competent on the guitar. But I've broken this down into 3 stages. 3 stages of learning guitar because I don't think beginners understand how learning guitar works and why a lot of people give up. And they give up not because they're no good or they're not musical. That is usually the belief that goes along with giving up. But because they don't understand that you got to break this 100 hours into 3 separate categories, and category 1 is the hardest category or stage to get through. And I say it's the first 20 hours, okay? In the first 20 hours when you're learning guitar, and it starts off like this, you're inspired, right? You hear something, you go, I want to learn to play guitar. And you start off sort of up here going, yeah, I'm going to do it. And this is how my story went. Inspiration usually is the key. Well, inspiration is the key. And I want just to really push that home. If you stay inspired through all these stages, which I'll discuss in this tutorial, that will keep you aligned to getting your end results. It always does it, no matter what level. But you start off with inspiration as a beginner, and then you start with application, meaning, you might you're looking in your chord chart, and you're trying to hold down a chord, and you're like, how do they do this? And what happens in these 3 stages, you've got hand fatigue, you've got sort of like your rhythm isn't, you just don't have rhythm. You're not connected. It's not you don't have it. You're not connected with your rhythm, right? So you've got this fingers hurting. You're trying to make a chord and the strings are buzzing out. Your rhythm is almost impossible, and nothing sounds musical. And that's it. You're going, I don't sound musical. I'm not musical. I'm going to give up. Okay? Every player goes through this stage. I did. Everyone did. Jimi Hendrix would have. Stevie Ray Vaughan would have. The first 20 hours isn't meant to be you playing really well, good, or even half decent. And this is what I tell my students. The first 20 hours is you proving to the gods of music or the gods of guitar that you are serious. And if you can get through those first 20 hours by practicing, okay, then the music gods are going to start speaking through you. So just think of it like that. You got to prove to the music gods that you're serious, okay? And they're not going to take the first 20 hours. They're going to go, look, it's probably going to be like the rest, just give up. Here's another thing that you're doing in the first 20 hours. You are teaching the muscles in your hands how to move in a way they really haven't moved before. You are teaching your ears to listen more than your eyes to learn. So it's auditory learning. You are tuning in to your inner metronome, which is your heartbeat, which is your rhythm. So in the first the first 20 hours, you're not meant to be creating passages of music. You're not meant to be doing beautiful smooth chord changes. What you're doing is you're tuning yourself into music. It's like you're meeting for the first time. And it's also, most importantly, telling yourself that I want this. This is what I want. Because you're either going to go, this is what I want, or you're going to say, no, I don't want this, and give up. And the only reason you'll give up, if you're inspired at the start, the only reason you're going to give up later is because you believe you can't get to that end result. And that is, you can't get to the point where you can play what you want to play on the guitar. You know, when I started out, I couldn't play anything, you know, but I absolutely loved the blues and I loved music. And this is why I always want to get back to, if you stay inspired, it will be the thing that pushes you into that what I call the 51% in your I want this. It only has to be 1% more in I'm going to get this end result rather than I'm going to give up. 1% is all it is. If it's 50-50, you're on the fence of, nah, it's too hard. 51% is enough momentum to keep you moving toward your end result. Stage 2 is like, you've got from 0 to 20 in stage 1, you've got to stage 2. Now, stage 2, the next 20 to 60 hours, you're going to start doing chord changes where it's easier. Your rhythm starts to lock in. You know, your small pieces of songs appear, you know, that you've been trying to learn. You're starting to inspire yourself, and that's a big one. Before there was the only inspiration you had was external. Now you're starting to go, I reckon I can do this. This is possible. And that little this is possible, like in anything in life, this is possible. You're starting to encourage yourself, okay? Now, it's not that things get easier. It's never easy, no matter what level, may I say also. The most experienced guitarists in the world, musicians, are beginners in the eyes of music because it is a vast... There's just not enough lifetimes to learn everything there is in music, and it keeps expanding. So we're all beginners, don't forget. But stage 2 is where you start building confidence. And confidence I call inspiration, and you start to inspire yourself. And whatever you can do in stage 2, that's not for me to say, because we all learn differently and we all have different aspirations. But in stage 2, the momentum now is building more. You might be from 51%. Let's say now you're at 60% encouragement, where you're thinking, I'm going to keep going. I'm liking this. Now, stage 3. Let's call this the flow stage. This is where your learning some of it starts to sink down to an unconscious level where you don't have to think about your chord. Yep, what's a D chord? Got the D chord immediately there. What's the G? Yep, that's the G. What's the A? I got the A. Or let's go to a bar chord in G. Oh, a little bit difficult, it's hurting. But I understand it, okay, because it's still understanding. So you're not executing perfection, you're still learning and still understanding, okay. But music now, as the music gods have said, I think this person's serious, so let's start speaking through them. The thing that you're doing also in stage 3 is muscle memory kicks in. And muscle memory becomes unconscious, which is sort of connected to what I started saying, is everything sinks down to a point where you don't have to think about it because there's thinking to come and you don't need to be thinking about chord changes now. You're feeling more relaxed in your playing. It's not anxiety and anxious. And you stop thinking about... You don't think about movement as much as you start to rely on your ears and you hear movement and you hear the flow and you hear where the music wants to go. So stage 3 is the point where, you know, you're clocking up that 100 hours, and then what starts to happen is from 100 hours, you could almost say you actually start on some level to develop your own style from the music that you've been listening to, okay? So in stage 3, you are at a point where you can play songs, you know all your chord changes, you most likely know your scales. When I say scales, I predominantly know 3 scales, really. I know more, but I don't use them. Pentatonic, the major and the minor scales, I think, are all you need to know. And you can, in between knowing those scales, you can do whatever you want inside of them, which is probably you playing another scale, but hell, I don't know sometimes half of what I'm playing. So now, when you are at that point and playing feels natural, you start then to get to a point where you choose now, okay, this is the direction I really want to go. Now, you've probably already started to follow a direction in what's inspiring you, and I want to keep bringing this word back in. Inspiration will stop you from giving up. Okay, inspiration is how I stayed aligned to guitar, and how I became good at guitar was purely inspiration. There was always someone I was listening to, and I have to really force this home. What you listen to is going to come out in your playing, and what you listen to will inspire you. And if you're listening to uninspirational music, you will most likely give up. Okay? So just take that one thing. Is I learned all by ear. I can't read music. I know basic, I know my chord charts and things like that, but I know very little about the theory of music, but I listen and I feel, and 90% of my playing is based on feel. So let's go back to the fact is most people will give up in stage 1 because they haven't got the momentum built yet. Because stage 1, you're only gathering momentum. Stage 2, you've got momentum. It's building. Stage 3, you've got a lot of momentum. And that momentum is going to push you into the next phase, stage, whatever you want to call it, of your playing. But that 100 hours you've clocked up, that's it. You're there. Call yourself a guitarist. The music gods are very happy with you. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've called it a hack in the video, but how to get to 100 hours, which I really have covered, but I'm going to reiterate it here. And I'm also going to discuss briefly what I'm going to present in the next video, 2 core premises or principles. But firstly, let's look at how do you get to your 100 hours without quitting. First and foremost, stay inspired. Keep listening to music. Put live concerts on. Listen to the musicians who you really love to be. For me, it was Stevie Ray, as you probably know if you've seen my videos. It was Eric Clapton. It was Mark Knopfler. They were my teachers. David Gilmour, Pink Floyd, B.B. King, Robert Johnson. When I was 15 years old, they were my mentors. So I could actually say they were my teachers. Okay, they inspired me, and they are the musicians who kept me aligned to music, and why I'm the guitarist I am today is I owe those musicians everything. Now, to stay inspired's fine. Stay focused, okay? You have to stay focused, and every time you practice, be very clear and give your brain, think of your brain as a supercomputer, give your brain the exact end result you want. And that is, focus creates reality, okay? And this is what we're going to get into very shortly. When you stay focused but have clarity on the end result, meaning this, if you're going in and learning chords, don't say I'm going to go in and learn chords. I'm going to learn the D chord. That is my end result. No other end result. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to learn how the D chord looks on the guitar neck, how it feels, and how it sounds. That is a practice. That's an end result. Then your next end result, I want to move from a D chord to a C chord. I want to move from a C to a G. I want to learn the pentatonic scale in A. Be very, very clear on what it is you want to learn. Give your brain every opportunity to go, that's what you want to learn. Well, here's everything you need to stay focused to get that end result. So stay inspired and stay focused and chop up your practice into very small pieces. Now I'm going to briefly touch on these two core principles, and I will explain them in the next video, and they will actually give you so much clarity on why some guitarists become amazing and why some guitarists give up. And it's not only guitar. You could say anything that involves creating an end result. I'm going to explain to you two core principles. The first core principle, as we said before when I said stay focused, is your focus creates your reality. Okay? Whatever you're focusing on is going to create what is your reality, what is real. Okay? If you go into practice and you've got something unconscious or subconscious going on, like you've had a shit day at school or a shit day at work, you're angry, and you go and sit down and you start to do your practice, and part of you isn't focused on guitar practice, it's actually focused on something that happened in the last hour, in the last day, in the last week, in the last year. Who knows? It could be when you first picked up a guitar at school. Your focus isn't 100% on your practice. That's the first core principle. What you focus on is what creates your reality. You will create what you're focused on. The second principle, and this is a really interesting, and when I learned this, I was amazed. I was really amazed. That is, structural tension seeks resolution. And what I mean by structural tension is this. Let's just call it tension, okay? Tension seeks resolution. And let's say that your guitar practice creates a tension because you say, I want to learn guitar, and whatever end result you've got, there's a tension. So think of it like an elastic band that gets stretched. That's a tension. It's a creative structural tension. It can only resolve in one of two ways. The tension can be resolved by reaching your end result, or the tension will be resolved by not going for it or giving up. And when you learn this principle, which I will discuss in great detail in the next video, you start to set up structural tensions and understand that if there's a physical tension, that is because you're moving from a current reality toward a goal or an end result. And when you understand this in your practice, you understand then that frustration is tension. You understand that difficulty sets up a tension. And if you understand that focus creates your reality, then you will only ever stay focused on your end result and you'll achieve it. Okay? And that might take a day, a year, or a lifetime, but it can be no other way. Okay? So I will deep dive into this in the next video, and I really hope you watch this next video, because it will give you learning tools and an understanding of how the creative mind works on the conscious level and on the unconscious level. So please just take what I've delivered in that session. Whenever you practice, understand this: your first 20 hours is the hardest. From then on, it's not easy, but it becomes less confrontational. And when you clock up 100 hours, if you've done focused practice, you will be very good at the guitar, and you can take that wherever you want it. I hope that was insightful. Please leave comments for me. Let me know what you thought. Please subscribe if you haven't. And for my subscribers and those who have dropped comments in previous videos, thank you so much, because I absolutely love hearing from you and I absolutely love responding to your questions. Stay focused, don't give up. It is a journey, as I've said before, well worth pursuing. It will always serve you. It is so healthy. It is so good for your mental state of mind. If you've got kids, get them involved in music. They need it more than any time in the world. We need music now. We need people being creative. Take care all. I'll see you soon.